Hey Josh, how you doing today?
Hey Danny, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I am calling to tell you that you are the Converge Mid-America Church Planter of the Month of July.
Oh, really? Do I
Yeah.
get like a prize? Do I get a trophy? What do I get?
I'll tell you what, I've got some extra fireworks and I will light those off in your honor. So if you hear some things over in Clarksville, Tennessee, you'll know that those are coming from Hendersonville, Tennessee to celebrate you being Church Planter of the Month. So what we're doing is we're highlighting the church planter, and I have heard some amazing stories lately that's been happening in church in your church. So why don't you just tell us a little bit what's going on in the plant?
Well, thanks, Danny. We have seen some absolutely incredible movement at Redeeming Hope and in Clarksville since COVID-19 hit. So we've seen, just a bullet point, we've seen 8 people come to faith in Jesus.
That's awesome.
We have seen 3 new discipleship groups started with our little church plant, which for us is like doubling the amount of groups that we have.
Yeah.
And we've actually got like 7 or 8 different states that are now tuning in every week. People from 7 or 8 different states that are tuning in weekly for us. And at the beginning of this, I had people that were older and wiser than me
Mhm.
say, God never wastes crisis. Like,
Mhm.
he never wastes it. He always uses it. And, I got to thinking, our church's name is Redeeming Hope, right? And,
Mhm.
we believe in a hope that redeems, a hope that buys back. And, Rachel and I just began to pray, like, God, what are you doing here?
Mhm.
How do you want to redeem this? And what we found was that because of the social distancing and some of the isolation that people were feeling, that actually millennials are answering the phone now, which is like amazing. Like, they actually answer the phone when I call them. Like,
Yeah.
they're sharp.
Yeah.
They don't just say text me.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty amazing. And because of the social distancing, what we found was is that people who were already taking steps towards
Mhm.
Jesus, like
Mhm.
people that were already kind of walking this journey,
Mhm.
like it was like nitrous. It was just like
Mhm.
boost. It was
Mhm.
just like a kick in the rear end for
So
some.
so give me a couple of those. So you said you had 8 people come to Christ, which to me
Yeah.
is just, I mean, that is blow me away phenomenal. So like what do you mean by that? Is that like you're on Facebook and if you accepted Christ today, like
Yeah.
give
No,
give us a like or share, or what are you talking about here?
so most of these were people that we already had pre-existing relationships with.
Mhm.
So really what we saw was the gospel sowing
Mhm.
for the months leading up to coronavirus. We didn't
Mhm.
quite know it at the time, but like God was preparing these
Mhm.
people to really truly reap the harvest during this time. So
Mhm.
one of them was a guy who came, never stepped foot inside of a church before, came in November.
Mhm.
We switched from a typical gathering to
Mhm.
a breakfast and a Bible study,
Mhm.
and he started coming and asking questions. Rachel and I had the privilege of leading his 2 boys to faith back in
Wow.
January, but he
Mhm.
was struggling with some addiction. He was struggling with making the jump towards Jesus.
Mhm.
Well, what happened was is that he's working from home and he got furloughed. So
Okay.
he's literally been like home
Mhm.
and unable to work that much.
Yeah.
And so his addiction pattern started to get worse,
Mhm.
actually, but
Mhm.
he kept engaging. He kept coming to group. He kept reading the Bible. And this relationship that we built for months leading up to this really was that crisis point of, he was alone. He was with his thoughts a lot. He was
Mhm.
trying to distract. And one day I just told him, I was like, bro, you need to do this or not do this. And
Right.
he literally said, I went home and mowed my lawn for 2 hours, gave my life to Jesus.
Yeah.
And he went in, and his wife thought that he was drunk because
Mhm.
he was so happy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
and he was a
awesome.
completely different person. There's just one more great story. Back in the fall, we started doing this thing called Doubt Night,
Mhm.
and it was just come, bring your questions, bring your thoughts, and we would just talk about different topics, and it was really designed for people that would never step foot inside of a church, but were
Mhm.
curious about God and faith, or had
Yeah.
some questions, or even atheists. We actually had atheists come bring notepads to take
Mhm.
notes and
Mhm.
ask me hard questions. And
That's
I'm not a great
awesome.
apologist, but I just know what the Bible
Yeah.
says and want to
Yeah.
talk about Jesus. Well, this one guy I met, he had grown up in a very traditional church background, but said, I don't know if I believe that. So we started talking a bit, and in the midst of COVID, he jumped into one of our discipleship groups and
Hmm.
started reading the Bible
Hmm.
consistently. And what was crazy was he started tuning in every single Sunday. He would almost never come when we were gathering at the Y, but then he started tuning in every single Sunday. And I met with him actually for some socially distanced coffee in my front porch. I'd make a French press. He sits on one side, I sit on the other. We talk. And he said, Josh, I've been watching you every week, and I think I've never really heard the gospel message until now.
Wow.
And so I challenged him to pray and read Isaiah 53, and challenged him to read the book of Galatians. And I said, let's talk after you read those two books. And so he did. He read Isaiah 53 and Galatians. We met, and he said, yeah, remember that thing you told me to do 2 weeks ago, or like that, to pray? Well, I actually did, and I gave my life to Christ, and like my life is totally different now. So
that's awesome.
It's been really amazing to see this. And one of the things that I've seen, like I mentioned before about the sowing and reaping piece, like we were sowing faithfully with people that don't know Jesus, and we're reaping that, I think, just prior to COVID. But another thing I think too is like seeing the value of going online for a small church plant, like the Zoom groups we switched to immediately, online we switched to pretty quickly. Our people jumped in, and those things, we're starting to see some movement, man. And God has really helped me see the value of online in a way that I hadn't before.
Yeah. Well, that's just great. Well, Josh, congratulations. Keep up the good work. And we pray a blessing on you, and that many more people would come to know Jesus because of it.
Thank you, Danny. Love you guys. And thank you so much to Converge. My wife also wanted me to just let you guys know, like, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your support, your encouragement for us. And we're just want you to rejoice with what's going on here and know that Converge is such a key part of the movement we've seen here in Clarksville. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.